Live from Columbus, OH, and this is nope, it's answering your financial questions live with me. I'm Coach Steve Money. I am, I have just verified that the audio is good, so we can continue. I was gonna say concede, but I was trying to do continue and proceed both at the same time, so that's not good. Dementia might be setting in today. Hopefully not, though. We'll see how I do. I do plan on getting so old and still doing streams that you will be able to see the degeneration easily. But where was I? Oh, yeah, Ramsey Solutions Certified Financial Coach. Again, Coach Steve Money. And you're watching this on youtube.com/Coach Steve Money. And my financial content is right under the Oak Island and Skinwalker Ranch playlists. And you see the after show, Ramsey Show, after show playlist. There's almost five. The next one will be 570 of those, and answering your financial questions tonight is number 156. And there's the music playlist that has 12 Ramsey adjacent songs in there, including the newest one, which was back 4 months ago. No spending money to seem cool. Da da. When you're on baby step 2. And that's a song all about baby step 2. All right, let's do some questions. This is from Orion Man 969 emergency fund question, and it's longer than can fit here, so I already opened it. It's only a little bit longer than that, maybe a couple words. But we are ready to go there. Yes, I just liked the video for myself, and you should too. You should like the video. Click the thumbs up. And again, that would be for myself. You doing it for myself. My emergency fund question. My wife and I have a large emergency fund, about 12 months worth, that includes our house payment and student loan payment, which we just finished paying off yesterday. And to go back to that music playlist, there's a song in there based on the phrase how to save a life. It's how to do the baby steps right, and that it talks about a lot of things that people do incorrectly. And here's going to be one right here. Here's a good example of this. So let's see, about 12 months worth, so 1 year. And let's just make sure Dave didn't change. Dave might be sneaky, changing the baby steps on us. Let's see. No, it still says save 3 to 6 months of expenses in a fully funded emergency fund. And guess when you save more than that? Step 7. And what has to happen? What's the last thing that has to happen in the list before you get to step 7? Is you pay off your house early. So these people. What do you mean, these people? They are, or they did, I don't know what situation they've been in now, or they're in now. This is like 6-7 days ago when they wrote this. They could have fixed it, maybe. Maybe somebody told them, you're doing it wrong, and they may have fixed it. But what they're doing is debt leveraging the mortgage in order to have extra savings. And that's a NAR from Mr. Ramsey and, of course, Mr. Simpson as well. Better known as Coach Steve Money. No, my first name ain't Baby. It's Coach. Mr. Simpson, if you're nasty, I guess. our house payment. Okay, so the 12 months worth. It's not only too many months worth, but it also includes their house payment amount, which it would normally, because that's our continuing expense. Um, and I guess it should I mean it should contain your, I guess, your student loan payment, the minimum amount, um, because you do have to pay that, even if you are on step. I mean, you would only have it, the student loan payment, if you're on step two. But if you have some kind of emergency or lose your job or something like that, that is something that you have to pay. So that actually is a good question. I don't know if the loan payment should be on there. Probably so you don't get behind. Getting current is actually part of baby step 0. So if you're behind, you would catch up, and that's what you would do first, even before doing the starter emergency fund of $1,000. Let's see what their deal is here. We've stuck to a very tight budget for 5 years to pay off my student loans. If we deplete our emergency fund to $10K, we could pay off our house, and that $10K would still be 6 months of expenses with our current budget minus the house payment. Should we go ahead and knock out the house? We also have some bonds that are within 3 years of being fully matured, which we could cash out within 7 days if needed. And so that wouldn't have been advised either. Any kind of dumbass investing like that in bonds or extra emergency fund is not the advice. So you would you address all of these baby steps. Now, steps 1, 2, and 3 are different because you don't do any higher steps while you're on step 1, 2, and 3. And you do them individually and only move on once you finish one of them. So you got to finish step 1 to go to step 2 and then go to step 3. And these people were still in step 2 paying on the student loan debt. And for some reason, I don't know. I mean, it says 3 to 6 months right there. So they just, I guess, called an audible and saved for 12 months. But how steps 4, 5, and 6 work are you do those all at the same time. And like all of this snowball amount of money that you were sending to debt, all your extra money. And then for the building the full emergency fund, you would use that extra money and apply it all to there. And only then do you start investing. See, you shouldn't be investing in here, and that includes in freaking bonds. You're doing it wrong. Dumb to be doing it wrong, because the baby steps don't say to do anything like that. I mean, it does, granted, it doesn't say there needs to be like a freaking brick wall line right here in between step 3 and 4, I guess. And in between steps 1 and 2 and 2 and 3 as well, so people don't think you're supposed to do all of the baby steps at the same time. But guess what? People do think that sometimes. And they have been doing that. And that's dumb, and that just makes completing all of them take longer. Yeah, it does. So it's dumb. But anyway, 15% of your gross household income in retirement. You do that with any extra money that you have that would come out of your paycheck. So and that you do 4, 5, and 6 all at the same time if they're applicable. If you don't have a mortgage, you're not paying off your home early. Or you already have, either one. But you can be a renter for life. Mr. Ramsey doesn't recommend that. He recommends getting a house because normally that's going to help you out. Like in retirement, if you have it paid off, then you don't have any rent or mortgage payment in retirement, and that helps out a great deal. Say for kid college, maybe you don't have kids, or you decided you want them to fend for themselves. whatever, either situation there. If you don't think that applies to you, then you don't have to address kid college. You don't have to save it. And also there would be no step 5 doesn't exist until the child exists. So wait for that before you would be doing that. So you wouldn't do that if you are planning on having children, but haven't had the child yet, haven't even been pronounced pregnant yet. Then you do not do step 5. All of the extra money then beyond the 15% investing in retirement would be going to pay the house off early. And these people did it wrong. Let's see, where are we at? Should we go ahead and knock out the house? Yes, because you already should have done that instead of, well, actually what you would have done is you would have paid off the freaking student loans before now. We have stuck to a very tight budget for 5 years to pay off my student loans. They would have been paid off quicker. You see how these people, what do you mean these people? Do you see how they made it take longer to happen? To get to step 7, they made it take longer. That should have already been paid off a long time ago. Anyway, but the bonds, dumb as crap. Mr. Ramsey does not recommend those. Not good investment. Not good ROI on those. So that's a no. We have no other debt. Do those bonds count toward the emergency fund since they aren't meant for retirement? Cash them out within 7 days. I don't like that. You know what? Because not only you high yield savings people, not only does an emergency not wait 1 to 3 days for a transfer from your high yield savings account to your bank that you can access liquidly with a debit card or write a check from that. That high yield savings account, normally you can't do that. Normally you don't have access to that. You have to transfer it. And it's especially bad if the person that handles the money is the one that it may be in a coma or something. That person may be in a coma and they are the only one that knows where the freaking high yield savings account is, knows the passwords, etc., even to do the transfer. For whatever reason, the other spouse's name might not be on it, and of course that should not happen either. But the 7 days, if it's not going to wait 1 to 3 days for that transfer, it's also not going to wait 7 days for that transfer. Stop trying to be smart and trying to outsmart the baby steps and trying to make a little bit of extra coin. Stop it. And the bonds do not count as that. They count as a dumbass mistake, a stupid tax. Cash them out and invest them in something good once you're on step 7, once you've fixed all this crap, because I believe you said you could pay off the house now. Deplete our emergency fund to 10K, which would be 6 months of expenses with our current budget, minus the house payment. Guess what? If you pay off the house, there is no house payment. Imagine how that works. And that could have been the case for the last 5 years now, or however long you dummies have had too much emergency fund. You could have already been house debt free. You could have already been on step 7. And then when you're on step 7, you can save whatever amount you want. You can invest in dumb stuff. You can do whatever you want, except go into a lower baby step, such as take on debt anymore. So do not do that. So you're doing it wrong, 59. I wonder if anybody said you're doing it wrong. That would be funny if somebody did say that. But I mean, if I were going to type in there, I might possibly say that if I was in my feelings about people doing it wrong all the darn time, even though it's very clear on here. But I mean, I guess people sometimes look at lists and think you're supposed to do them all at the same time, or you can pick your own order. I've never seen a list like that where you could just choose what you want to do. Okay, dog. 3836 private school / job outlook. We are fortunate to be in a position where we plan to send our 2 kids to private school for K through 12. All right. The annual cost is close to $30,000 per kid, given the economic and job outlook for the U.S. In today's economy, again, that does not determine the advice just because you want it to matter, and that's your justification for whatever dumb crap is going on here. But let's see what is going on. I mean, the private kids, if you have that kind of money, and that might be how you're fortunate to be in the position of it. But you would not be doing private school if you were in baby step 2. Sorry. 30K per kid. Yeah. College grads not able to find entry-level jobs, etc. Looming AI infiltration that is expecting to take even more jobs away. I'm starting to really question the value of the investment. Yeah. Well, what investment did you think it was before that they go to private school for K through 12? You think that's pedigree? They're not dogs. They're not going to be best in show. So that's dumb. We will sink over $800,000 in education. That doesn't even include college. That sounds dumb as crap to me. Hey, guess what? $800,000. You could probably split it and give them $400,000 each, and that would be better than whatever you think they're gonna get out of being in private school. We could send them to the best school, and they may still struggle to find a good job in the end. That's right. I'm starting to think they may be better off if I took those funds and invested them. Yeah, sent the kids to public school and call it a day. Yeah. Hey, guess what? My kids went to public school. They also rode in a compact car, so you don't need to buy a minivan because you have 2 kids either. And in addition to being alive after riding in a compact car, my kids are still alive, and they're in their 20s now. Yes, I'm old. And they also lived through going to public school. So stop being dumb. When they graduate from high school, they'd have a significant nest egg to do whatever they want within reason. I mean, I guess if it's in your name and you give it to them, if it's in their name and they're 18, guess what? It's theirs. Our public schools are slowly declining and only have a 50% reading, writing, math proficiency. So that piece does leave me concerned. How much better of an education do you think they're really getting in private school? Probably not that much, as you think. What do you do, or what do you think is the best path? Again, my kids went to public school their entire lives, and they turned out fine. Private school versus invested funds to give 2 kids. Maybe not even the invested funds either, but whatever you do, you would take care of your baby steps first. Like, for example, you would pay off the house before investing money to give to them later. Because it's not college savings. And so on the baby steps, 4, 5, and 6, the only kid stuff in 4, 5, and 6 would be saving for kid college. That would be the only thing there, not to give them money. So you would have to pay off the house, and only after you pay off the house and then are in step 7, then you can do all again your niche investing, like doing it for the kids instead of sending them to private school, which is very overrated. Are some of these callers lying? This is died of a theory. All right. Well, I don't think many have. Maybe the guy that invented the engine that ran on water, they took him out. So maybe. Whereas I need to have a Rachel Cruz conspiracy theory podcast. Let's see. Are some of these callers lying, though? Trolls have called the Ramsey show before. There's been even calls that have been edited out, and we have no idea what happened in it. But yeah, it's possible that some of them are. Let's see. You're 22 years old in Alabama, and so they are trying to say that this one person is definitely lying, and you can't say that. You don't know that. You can't say that. And again, you died of a theory. You might be theorizing too much, overthinking, etc., etc. Why is it important enough to write on the subreddit about it? Anyway, you're 22 years old in Alabama, you're making $150K a year. Yeah, some people figure out ways to make that much money. Yes. It could happen. Yeah, you're struggling to pay back $2,500 to friends. Well, if you're making $150,000 a year, for example, doing arbitrage or like resale or something like that, you're constantly, you're not actually making it. That might be your gross profit, but you're not your net profit, perhaps. So I don't know why my boy can't pay, or whoever the 22-year-old. I don't remember this particular call, but I don't know why he was struggling to pay back $2,500 to friends. And which ones? Monica, Joey, Ross. Phoebe? What job could he possibly have? Not very believable. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Here's how the show works. Here's how the show works, people. And yes, I called you people again. Here's how the show works. So, people call up. They go through a screener, and then the host takes their calls. If the screener says, okay, you can be on today's show, so wait in line, and they put them whatever order they want to put them in, and then they get to be on the show, okay? This died of a theory person, you don't have anything to do with that. So it doesn't matter what your little opinion of it is, or if it's believable or not. The screener likely believed him. Or sometimes new information comes up in the interview, during the call, than the screener asked. It's possible that happened as well. Also gives real poker players a bad name. What in the world? Okay, so he said he was making $150K playing poker? Is that it? Unlike other forms of gambling, it's a game of skill. If you play with your bankroll and you're actually reasonably good at it, you will make money. Okay, I guess maybe that's the clip right there. Some of the callers could be lying, yes, but you don't have to police that. Okay? Because nothing you type on this subreddit, or even if you did it on in the Facebook group that actually Ramsey Solutions runs, yeah. Even if you typed it there, that's not going to change anything on the show. So if you don't like it, don't watch it. But you don't get to do that. This is the same dumb crap. It's in the same, what is it? The same general area of where people, are dead set against doing the Ramsey advice. I'm fine with that. Just do what you want to. But no, they gotta, why doesn't it match up with the Ramsey advice? I can't make sense of that in my head. You don't have to. You can just do whatever dumb butt idea you want to do. You don't have to compare it to the Ramsey advice. So those people are nutty, and Died of a Theory is nutty. But I don't wish he was dead because of it. He's just dumb. Nautical Disaster 1. What a turnaround from where I was 2 años ago. That means 2 years, kids, in Spanish. Not the kids part, just the 2 years ago. We had about $65,000 in debt, $30,000 in a car loan. $20,000 student loan, $15K line of credit. We got serious about paying off debt, and we both got new jobs to increase our household income. Fabulous. And that's how you make it work. Not by just analyzing your life and seeing why aren't the baby steps like your life. Let's see. Today we're debt free aside from our mortgage. Fabulous. No more consumer debt. We own the car outright and just bought a second vehicle in Kashish, and that is approved. We have a full 6-month emergency fund. 2. I don't agree with Dave and everything, but his attitude around debt is right on, and that much. His attitude around debt is 100%. But you should agree with him on everything. And I'm going to go ahead and say, well, it doesn't seem like it's debt leverage. What would it be then? What would it be? Is it the investing? You'd rather invest in index funds and make less money? Okay, that's fine. B-Bear Shell. I mean, if you're gonna mention, hashtag mention, what up, Matty Bags? If you were going to hashtag mention that you don't agree with Dave on anything, why not let us know what it is, so we can tear you apart for this. And that's gonna happen on the Reddit. Again, B-Bear Shell. Sell Pokemon cards and buy a house, or wait a year and keep my hobby. You buy a house when you want one, and if 2 things, when you want a house, and then if you're in a position to buy one. And doing something like that, getting a house that will appreciate in value, that is more important than a hobby to me. Let's see, just got married in April, and my wife and I are excited to buy a house. Yeah, so maybe also when you get married, maybe you give up childish things. Isn't that a saying? And so it wasn't when I get married, but it's something about like when I grew up, I gave up childish things. Not saying people can't make money from them, but if you're talking about a considerable, like it's going to make a difference in you being ready to buy a house now or wait, yes, you should sell those and buy a house. Let's see. But guess what? You also got to stay within the Ramsey guidelines. And it's got to be a 15-year fixed mortgage, and the reason it's a 15 instead of a 30 is so you don't have the flexibility in the amount I want to keep my options open. You don't get to do all that dumb crap that people like to do. Or, well, we'll get the 30 and then we'll still pay it off like a 15. Yeah, a lot of people don't do that. Imagine that. If they have a lower house payment because they got a 30, a lot of them keep it around 30 years, even if they say they're going to pay it off quicker. They don't. They spend that money on other stuff, which is totally dumb. We could save $7K a month for a house, and we are debt free. Okay, great. In a year-ish, we will have a 20% down payment for a decent house in my area. The issue I am wrestling with selling my $100,000 Pokemon collection. You could buy an entire house for that amount in the Midwest. For one, I'm scared of the current market. You don't need to be scared of it. Just at this point, it shouldn't be a surprise if the rates are high and prices are high. That should not be a shock to anybody now. But despite no matter what freaking TikTok videos you're watching that says, "Oh, there'll be a crash sometime soon." You don't wait to try to time the market. You buy when you can afford it. Second, I like having 100K last resort in case anything really crazy happened to us. Third, it would lose my hobby. Right, well, you wouldn't have 100K invested in a hobby until you're on step 7. That would be a no. My wife doesn't want me to sell them either because when we go to shows together, she enjoys collecting too. I don't know. I just need to get it out. What? Get it out so I can process it better. Oh, you're just writing it on here so you can think about it better? All right, that happens. I guess that's kind of like the thing where a lot of times Dr. John Deloney will advise someone that is grieving a spouse or other family member, something like that, will tell them to write that person a letter. And that might help them process it. So it's possible you could be doing that. Maybe my impatience is getting the best of me. Yeah, that too. And so, I mean, you're the one that gets to make the decision on this. But that money, like, it should not have gone to that expensive of a hobby until you were on step 7 anyway. And that's after you buy the house and pay it off. So you're doing it wrong. Edit, my wife and I decided to both save for a year and sell off the collection for max value. Okay. And guess what could happen though? This is why you buy when you can afford and don't try to time the market, because guess what? You putting that arbitrary, okay, we're going to save a year and then sell it in a year for max value. What does that mean for max value? How do you know the Pokemon cards are going to be max value next year? They're not. How do you know they're going to be worth more than they are now? You don't know. I talked to my co-signer for the cards. You got it on debt? Oh, consigner. It almost got away from me. I almost freaked out. Consigner, not co-signer. A consigner. So basically, he listed was so. And hey, guess what? Guess what, my friend? Your 100K. The consigner is gonna take a cut of that. So they're getting a little bit of that 100K, a percentage of it probably. For the cards, and he's guessing I could probably get 100K, 20K. Yeah, that's a guess. Again, you're treating all of this stuff that's a maybe like it's a certainty, and it's not. And that's what you need to process better. That's the main thing you need to process. I could probably get 120K over the next 4 months as it's the hot months, and we will list at fixed prices. Selling and saving will give us around 200K to really knock down the monthly payment and buy down the rate. You don't buy down the rate. You don't do that. You put more down on the house. Okay, so you've been watching the TikToks. Don't do the financial bro stuff. You do not buy points. You put more down on the house. If the house market goes up, we can have more buying power than most buyers in our price range. Yeah, well, guess what? See, you know what happens here? Your price range gets lowered if that happens. So that is the only problem. That is the only problem. Pal of mine in the Ramsey Show chat, I talked with him quite a bit about buying a house because he wanted to get an exact certain amount of money before he bought a house. You know, and there was always the danger of, as he tries to get that last little bit of it, then prices and the rates may go up. So it's a fine line to walk with that, because he wanted the house to be an exact percentage, which is fine. That's more down, and that is the Ramsey advice, to put as much down as possible. And so, yeah, that's why you would do that. And you wouldn't be doing any other dumb crap that you're thinking about doing as far as investing. If you're investing in anything, you know, this hobby is one thing, of course, but if there's any other investments beyond the 15% that should be going to retirement investing, all that should be liquidated, and or if you have any dumb bonds like the other person, that should be all liquidated and applied to the down payment as well. Dave Ramsey money, I don't know what that, I'm not going to click on that. It's like a YouTube video, but not gonna do it. Comprehensive tie 666, just a check-in. Let's see what the check-in's all about. Well, my credit card debt, if officially zero, probably is. The F and the S are so close together. There's a D in between them. Yay! I have about 1,600 left on my car and about 11,000 on a Citibank loan, but I'm snowballing. I did go to PGA Superstore and looked at some of the new Titleist irons. Looking is free. And if it's a store where looking isn't free, don't go to that store. Why do I do that to myself? Anyways, I'm getting closer and closer to breaking the chain. You will never break the chain. People are nutty. So, don't go to stores. Don't go to, especially optional stores like golf equipment. You don't need that to live. You're on step 2, so everything gets cut out of the budget. So that is not 100% required to live. It's not 100% necessary, and that's what we call gazelle intense. Gazelle intense is not doing what you're doing, or is doing what you're doing. $30,000 in debt, 55K income per year. Is this a manageable situation? Maybe. Because maybe we can get rid of some of that 30,000 by selling a car and buying a beater instead. Let's see. Hello everyone. Hi guys. I'm in a situation where I am saddled with about 32,000 in debt. Well, you didn't get saddled with it. You saddled it yourself. You are the one that make that. People say I'm saddled with it. That means like that they were forced in the situation, but that's not actually what it is. You are the one that put the saddle on the horse. You're the one that put the debt in your finances. Of this, 12,000 is for a totaled vehicle. Boop, beep, beep, doo. That was from an accident of my fault. Of course it was. Again, this is why you don't finance vehicles, because accidents can happen and vehicles can get totaled and you still owe $12,000 for it. That's dumb as crap. After that, I have 10,000 in student loans that are being deferred because I'm going back for a master's degree in information technology. That's not advised either. No debt for that. And you should be paying off your debt instead of paying for a master's degree in information technology. You don't know if that'll be worth it. The rest are smaller debt from credit card and collection agency, culminating to the 32,000 I owe with my current salary. Is this debt manageable? I want to take responsibility, ownership, and control of my financial future. Thank you all. Baby step one. How are you paying for the master's degree? Maybe a company is. That'd be fabulous if they are. But how are you going to pay for that? You cannot do everything all at the same time, such as manage all that debt and also pay for the master's degree too, as well. So with it being over half of your income per year, I would say it's going to be pretty difficult, but I would actually have to see your expenses and what percentage of that income you can, and how much you can cut those expenses down to the bone so that you can put all the rest of the money towards the debt. For example, if you can pay $15,000, so if that's $55K, we'll pretend this is net $55K, and if you can put 15 down, then that still leaves you 40K for living expenses per year. And then you'd be out of debt in 2 years, that kind of thing. So it just depends on what your expenses are. And we could get you out of some of the expenses, possibly. Does it say car, the totaled car? What kind of vehicle are you driving now? All this stuff I would be asking this person. He or she my client. Cisco Lupe. Oh no, that's not it. Not Lupe. That's Objective Repair. There. Cisco Lupe again. Frequent poster. What would Dave say about me living in hotels, Airbnbs, and Verbos? If you're doing that instead of renting an apartment, just like in everyday life or something as a place to live, if you're doing that, that's probably dumb as crap, and that's probably going to be a no for Mr. Ramsey. If you are living in hotels, Airbnbs, and Verbo, is that how you pronounce that? Verbos? I don't know. I've seen it before. Vacation rental, something or another, I think it stands for. But I've heard of it. But if you're doing that as you're doing traveling, like serious traveling, because you say living in, you didn't say staying in these places while I'm on vacation. That's not what you said. So let's just see if he says what's up. Well, I guess I know what Dave would say, but I'm just thinking out loud. Yeah, out loud is 2 words, not 1 word. Yeah, you already know, because you're being dumb, and you're dumb too. Currently living in a paid-off house in Texas. Okay, why can't we live there then? Hoping to move to Georgia in a couple years. Why? I'm in my 60s. Why? And hoping to get about $200K for my house. All right, knock yourself out. I don't want a mortgage, current house purchase for cash. Great. That part's great. And I've been looking at houses in my price range, 200K. Most are flips, which means I can pay under 200K, but also means I might have unforeseen issues. There are a few older homes that are under 200K that aren't flips, but then I'll need to upgrade stuff, electrical, etc., etc. Well, you're the one putting yourself in this situation. So you're the one that's choosing this dumb crap. So I don't even really mind paying to fix up things. Just thinking about how hard it's been for me to find decent contractors over the years. Well, guess what? You know how you can get around that is to not do the dumb crap that you're doing. People don't ever think of that. You're thinking out loud. Why don't you think out loud? Oh, this isn't exactly working out great for me. Maybe I should stop this BS. But I can get a rental for $1,200 to $1,500 per month, but I don't want to sign a year or two lease. And then you're going to pay, if you don't sign a year lease, you're going to pay more money for it. I want to be able to leave easily if there are neighbor issues, or I want to be able to leave easily if I suddenly find a house I want to buy. Okay, so here's how this works. It doesn't work like that just because you want these conveniences. That's not how life works, my friend. If you are not going to sign a year lease, you are going to pay more for it. Like if you go month to month, you are going to pay more for it. Quit being stupid. Might be able to find hotels, Airbnbs for $2.2K per month. Why would you pay that much per month? More expensive than renting, but free Wi-Fi, free water, trash. Yeah, the free Wi-Fi, the water, and trash don't equal the difference between $1,500. That's $700, babe. $700, babe. If I don't like something, I can just go to the next hotel. Right, looking at my budget, I should be able to buy a hotel and food and have $1K per month to put in my brokerage accounts per month. Currently debt-free and have my emergency fund. I own a 1995 pickup and a 2008 van. No spouse, no kids. Why do we need both vehicles? Maybe I could find a month-to-month house apartment rental eventually. But so far, my electronic searches aren't pulling up anything. Maybe once I get to know the area better, there might not be as many of those. I mean, a house rental, sure. You can do house rental, but they're still going to want you to sign a longer lease to get a lower payment per month. Otherwise, you're going to be paying more. So basically, here's how this situation works here. Everything you said that you don't like, it's going to still be happening, and it's going to cost you more than not doing your dumb crap. So you're the one that gets to decide that. So if you want to spend your money on hotels, Airbnbs, Verbos, or whatever dumb crap you want to do, Mr. Ramsey wouldn't advise it, but knock yourself out if you want to do that and pay more money. And then have less to invest. Up to you. We paid off our 15-year mortgage last week. It took us 8 years, and we're finally on baby step 7. Excellent. This is rhythmic strategy. We are investing 18%. Shouldn't have done that before the house was paid off, but now you can. But now we can raise the amount up to the maximum. Being completely debt-free is such a wonderful feeling. We're beginning to experience true financial peace. Baby step 6, and are you really on the baby steps if you're investing more than 15%? I don't think so. I think you're doing it wrong. But congratulations anyway on paying off the house, because paying off the house early, that is one of the baby steps. So good job. And you shouldn't be on a lower baby step either, like step 2, have step 2 debt or anything like that, because that's dumb. Athlete historical for 90 finished baby step 2. Took almost 2 years because of daughters in college, and we're cash flowing that. And had a house move in process. Long story. But finally paid off about $150,000 in a combination of car loans, 401k loans, student loans, and credit cards. Could have paid it off faster probably if you sold the cars. Sold some of the dumb crap you bought with credit cards, maybe. Currently running as we moved back to Chicago area from a year in St. Louis. All right. I mean, I would say something about that, but people make mistakes. I moved to Arkansas for 2 years. That was my bad. That was my mistake. That's on me. And when the football players, it's funny when the football players do that, like one of them fumbles, and then because of it, the other team's offense gets an easy touchdown, and then when their defense comes back, that the defense gave up the touchdown when they come back to the sideline. The guy that fumbled is always like, that's on me. That's on me. That's on me. I'll make up for that. That's on me. And John Madden one time, announcer John Madden, one time said, "Yeah, we know it, you. We saw you. We saw you fumble." And Chicago has a team, the Bears. St. Louis used to as well. The football Cardinals. Currently running as we move. Oh, I did that. So don't owe anyone anything in the world at the moment. Great. Except maybe the college. We'll have a mortgage again in 18 months to 2 years. But will be great to have an emergency fund and decent down payment at that point. Great. Doing it right as far as I could tell. Have owned houses in the past, I guess, but never without other debt, which I realize now was a bad idea. Yeah, eventually figured out. About 50 years old, maybe about $350,000 combined, and that will make it easier to cash flow college and pay off all of your debt. We're positioned for something. We are positioned. Well, now finally, some friends have been critical of us renting right now. Some friends, yeah. The most important thing is they don't get a vote. And if they're being asshats about it, maybe the quotes around friends are right because they're not your friends. We're going to try to pay out the next house before retirement. Yeah, that would be the idea. While also saving hard for retirement in the process. Well, you would only invest 15% of gross income. Even though you're an old, you would still just invest 15% while you were throwing everything extra to the house. Both of us plan to work until we are 70, God willing. On to baby step 3 now, then 3B. Just posting for continued encouragement from other Ramsey followers. Thanks. Well, you're doing well. Congrats. Want to make sure it's not an ad. Considering a lending tree loan to pay off high interest credit cards, but Dave Ramsey's voice is in my head. Yeah, he says they don't do that dumb crap. Just pay off your stuff. That way you learn the lesson of, I don't want to go through this again, instead of you basically fixing part of it, the stuff that's bothering you. And a lot of people, when they get a lower interest loan to pay off high interest debt, then they don't worry about the low interest loan and they keep that around forever and they don't pay it off. And then they get in the same problem because often the low interest loan is only a low interest loan for a certain period of time. Currently in baby step 2, been at it about 7 months. I paid off 2 small cards using they were this big. Now it means the amounts on them, or she. What is it? I'm an introvert person, alright. But got brave enough to post on the subreddit. Very good. Using snowball method, and it felt amazing at first, but now I'm staring at the last few ones at 64,000, another is over 9,000, and they're sitting at 28% plus APR. Yeah, you were the dumbass that signed up for that. Yeah, so you should pay for it. You should experience discomfort for that. The interest alone is wrecking my progress every single month. No, it's not. I'm throwing every extra dollar I can at these, using the budget, excuse me, cutting everything that's not essential and even picking up extra hours, but it's still slow. Yeah, it's going to be slow because you were a dumbass that got that 28% credit. And your lending tree loan could also go up as well after X amount of time. You don't pay it off by then. Some months it feels like I'm not moving at all. It doesn't matter what it feels like. It matters what's happening. If you are paying more than the interest, you are paying it down. You are paying some on the principal. So, I don't want to hear that bull crap. I don't care what you feel like. Other than it stressing you out, and it should, and that should motivate you to pay it off and never take out any debt again. That is the idea. That is why Dave Ramsey's voice is in your head, and that's why you know darn well he would say don't do that. So don't be. Meanwhile, I keep getting these lending tree loan offers with pre-approval at 12 to 14 APR, no fees, no early payoff penalty. The idea of rolling the high interest into one payment, and you know, at this point, I would say he's probably going to do that. And saving $100 plus a month, only $100 a month. $100, so $1,200 a year. That is not, the $100 is not breaking your neck here. And interest is seriously tempting, but then I hear Dave in my head. Yeah, and I feel guilty even thinking about it. You should. Like I'm cheating or taking the easy way out. You should feel like that, but it's not actually easier because people that do that often do not ever get completely out of debt. And, you know, they just keep screwing up more, and, you know, then they might eventually quit the baby steps, or they got to start again. And it just is going to take even longer. I know baby step 2 is about behavior change. Okay, great. Not just math. That's true. Mostly behavior change. Just a little tiny bit of math. Like 90-10%. And trust me, my behavior has changed. No, it hasn't if you're thinking about these, another loan. You don't pay off debt with another loan. But I'm also tired. I don't give a crap. And I'm human. Justification station for your dumb ass shit. So now I'm stuck between what feels like the right way and what seems like a smarter financial move on paper. It doesn't matter what it seems like. You're gonna do your BS, your dumb butt idea. Are you gonna follow the advice that's been proven? Anyone else in baby step 2 been tempted to? Of course they have. Just trying to stay on the path, but some days are harder than others. When I said others, see, thinking about cows. Oh, what's for the next one? And we'll find out when the next shows are. I don't remember off the top of my head, but they are updated on the list there. Wife wants to send money, but we don't have the sender. We don't have to our parents in Thailand. Yeah, people from other cultures do a lot of that. Americans don't get it because we don't do that. We're not raised to think, oh, everything for parents, everything for family. We're not. It's not like that here in America. Help me decide how to sequence debt and a car purchase. Well, you don't get the car. You don't buy the car purchase. And sequence it? You mean like what order to do it in? You don't purchase a car. The only time you will purchase a car is if your other one broke. And if it was emergency, you needed it. And you would buy the cheapest car you can. You're not financing one up. Save money on groceries in Texas. Okay, HEB. A quiet program called HEB debit that could save us quite a bit of money. Okay. It's not an ad, but yeah, I think I've heard about that, but not in Texas, so I'm not that concerned about it. Help finding a Dave Ramsey video. Search on YouTube for it. I don't know what to tell you. Saying he has collected 3 things his whole life, and it was like nails and hair. Oh, interesting. I might be going insane, or it might have been Dr. John, but do y'all remember this? Yeah, I don't remember that. And a baby step 2 story. And do we try to pay off our not forever home? Yes, because it might end up being your forever home. You might not ever move like you think you're planning to. So yes, you do. And there's no problem, 0 problem whatsoever with you paying off the house, because guess what? If you do move and you sell that house, you get all of that money back, don't you? Yes. So stop being dumb, people. Everybody loves to be dumb. Coach Steve Money, Ramsey Solutions, certified financial coach. And again, if you are having money problems, just need me to tell you you're being a dumb butt person trying to improve the baby steps, I will tell you that as well. You can schedule that appointment with me by emailing coachstevemoney@gmail.com. You can also use that email address for any financial questions in general, or financial coaching questions, or anything about anything on my YouTube channel. Donations can go to paypal.me/CoachSteveMoney. The Cash App at $CoachSteveMoney, or a Walmart gift card to that same email address. Imagine that, coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Upcoming streams, and here we go. Let me make that full screen. The Ramsey Show After Show this coming week. It's a Thursday today. There's not going to be one tomorrow. So this next week. Monday and Thursday are the only days. And I have a comma and no space. That's bad. July 21st and 24th. So what was that? Monday and Thursday, I think. And Answering Your Financial Questions streams, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to be Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday. July 20th, forgot the H on that, 22nd and 25th. So that's your story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment. As always, make smart financial decisions every day.